It's almost time to head to Flushing Meadows for the final slam of the year. And we don't know about you guys, but it's one of our favorite tournaments on tour. And as always, we can expect to see some incredible matches. But this time around, some big names will be missing, and we're here to tell you all about who's not going to be in the US Open. Let's get started. First up, Novak Djokovic. At this point, this is hardly news, but it's almost certain that the Serb won't be participating in New York. Of course, we all know that it's because of his anti-vaccination stance against the COVID vaccine, and he's had to miss tournaments in the US because of it. Now, Noel and his team expect that the rules would change for them, and the 21-time Grand Slam champion would be allowed to play, but as of right now, the travel restrictions to enter the US still stand, so he'll have to miss the US Open. He could do what billions of other people have done and get the vaccine, but we know that's not happening, so this time around, the show will go on without one of its biggest stars. Next, Alexander Zverev. We've got bad news for Sasha fans. He officially withdrew from the tournament a couple of days ago. He's been away from the game since earlier this year, when he got injured during his semi-final against Rafa Nadal at the French Open. He rolled his right ankle while he was chasing a ball just behind the baseline. It was just as bad as it looked, and he had to leave the court in a wheelchair. Zverev had to undergo surgery for 3 torn lateral ligaments in his ankle, and he's been recovering for the last few months. Now, the German is expected to be back by now, but the recovery process is taking longer than anybody anticipated, and he'll be missing the US Open. Injuries are any athlete's worst nightmare, and we totally feel for Sasha. We hope he's taking care of himself and he's back on the court soon. Moving on, Riley Opelka. We've got another withdrawal. Opelka pulled out of his home tournament earlier this week, so he didn't really give a reason for his absence. But if you look at his recent schedule and injuries, it doesn't really come as a surprise. He didn't play the last 2 Masters 1000 tournaments in Canada and Cincinnati, so almost everybody expected him to pull out. It's unfortunate that he'll be missing the final slam of the season, especially considering the third-ranked American player had great luck at home this year, winning titles in Dallas and Houston. Still, we hope everything's okay with Opelka, and he's back to the game before we know it. His fellow American Jack Sock will take his place in the main draw. Also, Gael Monfils. This season hasn't been too kind to the Frenchman. His withdrawal from the US Open means he'll have missed 3 out of 4 slams this year. He missed the French Open and Wimbledon after surgery for a heel injury, and when he came back to the tour after the grass season, he faced yet another setback in Montreal. In his game against Jack Draper, he looked like he was in pain and needed help even moving. Obviously, he withdrew from the game, and everybody knew that his participation in New York was doubtful. He confirmed the news last week, and we're so sad to see him end his season like this. We really hope he continues to recover, and he's back on tour as soon as possible. Up next, Coco Gauff. Now, before everybody starts freaking out, this isn't confirmed. Yet. But it's not looking too good for the teenage star. She retired midway in her first-round match in Cincinnati after he suffered an injury, and well, it couldn't have happened at a worse time. Coco limped off the court in tears, and fans knew it could mean bad news for her home slam. After the game, she said that she was feeling okay, and it was just a sprained ankle, so we hope she's doing better and she's taking care of herself. We want her all ready for next week. And Naomi Osaka. We know, but again, this isn't confirmed yet either. Osaka lost her first round game at Cincinnati Open to Zhang Shuai, and it was largely due to an injury. Even Zhang commented that Naomi wasn't quite herself in the game. We know she hasn't really looked at the top of her game these past few tournaments, and an injury doesn't really help with that. She's been suffering from an Achilles issue for the past few months or so, and the recovery process isn't going as well as she'd like. Now, Osaka hasn't confirmed whether she'll be at the US Open, so let's keep our fingers crossed. But from everything we've heard, it's not really looking good for the 2-time champion. And finally, Simona Halep. Again, we don't know for sure, but it isn't all rainbows and sunshine for Halep either. She's also got an injury cloud hanging over her after she withdrew from her third-round game in Cincinnati. This comes at a terrible time for the former world number 1, as she had just won her biggest title in 2 years at the Canadian Open. Now, many people even consider her a favorite to win in the Flushing Meadows, but as of right now, her participation is highly doubtful. She sustained an injury on her right thigh, and she'd have to hope for a miracle to be able to be fully fit in time for the US Open next week. We hope she's ready because it would be a shame to see her miss out on this. And that's all about the tennis stars that won't be at the US Open. Now, let's move on to some other related news. First up, John McEnroe complains about the rules. There's a headline you definitely heard before. The 7-time Grand Slam champion thinks it's stupid that the rules don't allow Novak Djokovic to play in the US Open. He said it was the closest thing to a joke. Of course, McEnroe said that he would rather get vaccinated, but everybody had to respect the Serb's way of thinking and allow him to participate. He complained that after living with the pandemic for 2 years, it was ridiculous. Now he's not the only one who feels like that. Many fans have constantly been ranting about it on social media. Even Noel's coach came out to publicly condemn the rules, and well, it hasn't been pretty. But still, rules are rules. And with the draw all set to be announced on the 25th of August, it doesn't seem like anything's changing for the 21-time Grand Slam champion. champion. Next up, Wimbledon fans to take legal action against Nick Kyrgios. We bet you didn't see that one coming. Remember when Kyrgios complained about a fan in his Wimbledon final and had her removed from the crowd? Yes, the one who he claimed had drunk like 700 drinks and was distracting him. Well, she is taking legal action against the Aussie. Anna Pallas, the woman, said that it was a reckless and entirely baseless allegation. She said it caused her harm on that day, but also afterward, as she was highlighted in front of the whole world, and it caused her and her family substantial damage and distress. She's bringing defamation charges against Kyrgios in an attempt to clear her own name. Anna said that she hopes the 27-year-old reflects on his actions and offers a prompt response to the matter. Otherwise, she will not hesitate to take the issue to the High Court. And you know what? Good for her. It seems like Nick's got his schedule filled with court visits as his season comes to an end. And lastly, Paula Badoza agrees with Iga Swiatek. Now, for those of you who don't know, the US Open is the only major tournament that uses different types of balls for men's and women's events. And yes, that's completely ridiculous. How is this happening in 2022? Of course, the women play with lighter balls, and recently the world number one came forward to say that it wasn't too helpful for the players. She complained that it was easy to make mistakes with these balls, and she just didn't understand why the female players had to play with them. She talked about how women served really fast now, and maybe these balls helped 15 or 20 years ago, but it really wasn't helping anybody now. Iga said that the balls were horrible and pretty bad, and she even said that most women on tour shared the same thoughts. And she was right. Badoza posted on her Instagram that she totally agreed with Swiatek. She said these balls were unfavorable for the players and for the show. Well, we really hope the tournament takes notice and does something about it. Nothing like this should be happening in this day and age, and at the very least, the tournaments should listen to what the players are saying. They know what they're talking about. That's a wrap for this video. Who will you miss the most at the US Open? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.